بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. One of the very famous maxims is this one, which is used frequently, more than probably any other maxim, and that is العقود تابعة للقصود. عقود is plural of عقد, and عقد is a contract. تابعة means follows. للقصود, قصود also is the plural of قصد, and قصد is an intention. So basically it means that if you were to establish a contract and you made a mistake, then that contract, let's say you made a mistake. You were trying to say that I am marrying, let's say her name is Maryam, and rather than saying Maryam, you said Fatima. Is this contract valid or invalid? And then you remembered after 2 years, someone told you, hey, do you remember your wedding? You made a mistake. So is that valid or invalid?
Surprised the marriage would go on.
Huh?
What was the promise? I'm marrying Fatima?
No,
Would I marry Fatima?
her name was Maryam, and you forgot to say Maryam. You made a mistake. You made a mistake. Your intention was to say Maryam, but you called her Fatima by mistake. But that person is the same. You are pointing to this person, but you were confused because you were,
Based on the maxim, then it's okay.
blown away by her beauty, so you made, you made a mistake. So is that marriage contract, is it valid or invalid because of this mistake, verbal mistake that you made?
Valid.
It's valid.
It's valid because it follows the intention. What was your intention? Your intention was Maryam, but sometimes we get confused. Like me, I call my children, I call Ali Muhammad and Muhammad Ali, and I call always Muhammad, I call him Hadi, and Ali, I call him Mehdi, always. Because my first children were Hadi and Mehdi, so, and they know, they say yes. I call Muhammad Hadi, he says yes, Daddy, he knows, because he knows my intention is to call him. Or if someone had a fight with his wife and he was angry and he just wanted to threaten her with divorce, he was not serious. So he said to her, you are divorced, or I am divorcing you. I am divorcing you. Just as a threat, he wasn't serious. His intention was just to threaten her. Is that divorce valid or invalid?
Invalid.
Invalid. Why?
No intent.
And it depends too, right? Which sect? Who said that?
No.
If it's Sunni though, doesn't he automatically?
No. Even.
Okay.
If he was threatening,
Right.
so he was not really, he didn't mean it. He didn't mean it because here we say it follows the intention. Or someone was joking with his wife. One day, on her birthday anniversary, was giving her birthday gift. He said to her, you are divorced, to make her happy. Is that divorce valid or invalid?
Doesn't count.
Because he was making a joke. So jokes, contracts that are based on jokes, hazal, Hazel, they call it hazel. Or hazel, jokes, hazel. Okay? It's the opposite of jed. Jed. Okay? These are discounted because contracts are always, they always follow intentions. We don't look at someone who is making a joke. Or, as I said, making a mistake. He wanted to say, let's say, he had 2 wives. He wanted to say, Maryam is divorced. So by mistake he said Fatima. But he was serious. He wanted divorce. He wanted to divorce one of them. But he made a mistake by the name. He was confused. So in that case, Fatima is not divorced because this was not his, and he made a mistake. Okay? Or sometimes hiba. Hiba meaning you give a gift, something of monetary value, you give it as a gift to a friend, to a relative, to someone. And you tell him, okay, take this iPhone, this is yours. And he took it immediately without saying, oh no. In some countries they spend a few minutes, oh no. He was American, he took it. Yeah. One day I was sitting in the airplane, there was a pilot sitting next to me in the middle seat with his uniform. So I had a chocolate bar, unused, brand new from London, England. I said to him, yeah, take. My intention was to share. He took it, he put it in his bag. خلاص. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. I learned the lesson. So you give something to someone, you tell him, this is my, you like my car? He says, yeah. Okay, take the keys. He take them. Is this? And then after that he said, you gave it to me. You gave me this iPhone. You gave me the car. You gave me the, Assalamu alaikum. You gave me this or that. So in this case, who's this? Who's the owner? The new person or the old person? Does the ownership transfer if you are not serious? Ownership does not transfer. Does not transfer. Unless you are serious. You know what you say. You know what you do. With the same token, scholars say, if 2 people are getting married and they don't understand Arabic, can they conduct their marriage contract, solemnize, officiate their wedding, the contract, based on a language that they don't understand? Let's say he does not understand Arabic, nothing. And then he said something, someone said to him, repeat after me. So he repeated. Okay? Or she, let's say, because the proposal from her side, she said, زوجتك نفسي, okay, I am marrying you upon this dowry. But she did not understand that in Arabic. And this happens. Many fathers, they marry their daughters, they tell them, read this sentence. She's reading something that she does not understand. Is that marriage valid or not?
It's valid.
Why it's valid?
They intended
Ba-
to marry.
Huh?
They intended to marry. And so long as
But let's say she did not understand the dowry.
meaning the amount?
Yes,
The wrong
the amount. Yeah.
She agreed on an amount and then the wrong amount was read to her in Arabic when they were getting married.
وعلى أساس ذلك أفتى الفقهاء على أنه إذا أنشأ عقد النكاح من لم يعرف معنى الألفاظ يكون العقد باطلا. Someone recites the wording of the contract where he does not understand what he's reading. He doesn't understand. He thinks that this is, let's say, he's buying something, you know. He doesn't know this is marriage. Someone said to him, read this. Someone wanted to marry two people without their knowledge. Without their knowledge. So he gave them a piece of paper. He said, read this. And they didn't know. They read it.
Right.
And then after that, he says, you are married. You know that? You are married to each other.
Or to give
That
the-
is,
Sometimes comes into shahad, they'll say it.
yeah.
Tell you're Muslim now.
Yeah, I did today on the phone. I'll tell you the story. Today, shahadatain, or three shahadat actually, because he wanted to be Shia. He told me right away. He's American. And I said the shahada in Arabic and then the English one, the translation, to make sure that he knows what he's saying. He knows what he's saying. And even in the marriage contracts, those who are not Arabs, I would say it either in English or Farsi for them to know what they are doing, to be aware. So it follows عقود تابعة للقصود, and this is used in the court system, used between people even if they don't go to court. They base their contracts upon their true intention. So in case there was a mistake, verbal mistake, or they did not understand it, they signed something without understanding it, then it becomes invalid. They have to know what they are doing. It has to be in accordance to their intention. The contract is only, it goes through and it is only valid when it is in accordance with people's intention. If it is otherwise, then that contract is not valid. What is the proof, the evidence for this maxim, قاعدة? Number one, the evidence is tasalum. Tasalum means the agreement. Agreement of all jurists. They agree. They agree upon this premise, this maxim, that whether it is marriage or divorce or purchasing or selling or transferring, any type of contract, not only a contract, sometimes you have aqd, sometimes you have iqa'. Iqa' is one-sided. Aqd, two sides. Iqa' is one-sided. Can you give me an example of iqa'?
One-sided contract.
Aqd.
Whoever,
Aqd. A contract. Iqa' is bilateral. Bilateral means one-sided, huh? No, both sided. Unilateral. Lateral. Unilateral.
whoever finds this lost dog, I'll give him $1,000. I promise to give 1,000, but nobody's
Yes.
making a counter promise.
A gift. A gift is it's a contract, but unilateral contract. What else, unfortunately, is unilateral? Which I don't do. I have to engage the other side. Yes. The divorce. The man has the right of divorce, so it is unilateral. But when I do divorce here, I ask for the wife presence and her acknowledgement and her signature. She has to be aware. She has to be aware of what is happening. Though 99.9% of cases of divorce, women apply, so they are heavily involved, not just involved, alhamdulillah. Yeah. So first is the agreement, tasalum, among the jurists, that العقود تابعة للقصود. There is تسالم, unanimous agreement upon this, that every single contract has to be in accordance with in order for it to be valid, then it has to be what? According to your what? Help me. Intention. So the first proof or madrak or evidence is tasalum. The second one is called al-asl. Al-asl. What does al-asl mean? It means the norm. Why it is the norm? What do we mean by norm? My friends, there is another maxim that states al-aslu fil mu'amalat al-fasad. The norm in the contracts is that they are invalid unless you have a proof that this is valid, unless you bring a proof. Otherwise, the norm is the invalidity of the contracts. Why is that?
I mean, you would have
The norm in doing contracts, they are invalid.
If it was the other way, you would have chaos in courts with proofs of, things that you didn't do or.
No, but see, we are saying the norm is that they are invalid. The exception that they are valid. The norm, they are invalid. So you have to bring extra proof to show me that this mu'amala, this contract, this deal is legitimate.
And that's the same here. Like if you show a contract with somebody, let's say an agreement, then it's not valid until you can show proof that both parties signed the contract.
Exactly. So the norm is that they are invalid. The exception that they are valid. And therefore, because what we said, marriage, purchase, these transactions, they are invalid. Therefore, you have to prove that they were according to the intention. Meaning that, let's take the marriage as an example, Atiyah, I'll make it easy. In the marriage, we assume that that type of contract, when they did the contract, is invalid unless we make sure that it was according to their intentions, both sides. They knew what they were doing. Okay? They knew what they were doing.
So say in the case of like the example that you gave where he meant to say...
Meaning, let me just complete. Meaning, if there was a contract and we have doubt that it is something wrong with it, then this doubt is valid. This doubt takes precedence. Once we have doubt in any contract, that it's lacking something, it was not done correctly, then that doubt is legitimate. And that doubt takes precedence. So you have to prove otherwise. You have to prove that the contract was valid. You need extra effort. But if you have doubt, then the doubt is legitimate. Let's say we have doubt that this marriage, this contract between this man and this woman was legitimate. We have doubt. We have some doubts. either she's still married to someone else, or she did not even know what she was doing, what she's coming up with, or they did not mention the dowry. If they don't mention the dowry, it becomes invalidated, by the way. Okay? Something missing, an element is missing. Then that doubt is legitimate. Then we say, this marriage does not go through unless you show me, unless you clarify these doubts. You clarify them. Okay? Though we said in the past, and there was another maxim several weeks ago. We said that when people do something, whether it is ibadah or mu'amala, an act of worship or an act of transaction, we have to assume that these things, they did it correctly. But when it comes to mu'amalat, al-aslu fil mu'amalat al-fasad. So people do not take each other's property, usurp them. We make sure that this transaction was legitimate. So they make it more difficult to prove.
Say, so in the marriage, what is what makes it legitimate? The actual understanding and because you don't write a contract, it's just a verbal, so just understanding really, right? Yeah, and you're making sure they understand.
Verbal, of course, but it's better to write it. It's better to write, and it is better to have witnesses, but it is not necessary. Still goes through.
So but the variables, yani, to make it legitimate
Yeah.
is...
The proposal has to be, it has two main requirements and one subsidiary requirement. The two main requirements that have to be present in every marriage contract is al-ijab. Al-ijab. Al-ijab means proposal. Al-qabul, the second one, is acceptance. So who does the first one?
Male.
No. This one?
Oh.
Proposal by female. You don't know?
I guess not. I've never married someone.
The proposal by the female. In the
male.
contract.
Yeah.
In the social life, of course, the male goes and proposes to her, but when they officiate that, the official form, she does the proposal.
I've seen in, actually, no, I think...
Ijab from her side. She says, I am offering myself to you in marriage. Qabul is from him.
But I've seen some marriages where the sheikh is asking...
Yeah, because she gives him power of attorney.
Oh, okay, that's what I always see. Though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She gives this part, the proposal, to him. She passes it to him. He has to ask for power of attorney. Then on her behalf, he proposes to the guy. And the acceptance is from him. So these two sides are mandatory. However, if she's marrying for the first time and she's under the custody of her parents, her father, then we need the third requirement, which is what? Which is her father's consent. Her father's consent. However, listen to this carefully. We switched from transaction to marriage. The father's consent, though it is necessary, Ali,
Yes.
the father's consent for someone who's marrying for the first time, she is virgin, and she's still dependent on her father. She's not independent. Let's say someone who's not married, she has not been married. Now she's 30 years old, 40 years old, and she's independent. Then in that case, she does not require her father's consent. But if she lives with her father, she depends on him, still connected to him financially, socially, then she needs her father's consent. However, all maraja and all scholars and all jurists, they say, if she marries without her father's consent, still the marriage is going to get through or not?
Yes.
Valid.
What do you say?
Yes.
Ali, what do you say?
I mean, and it doesn't matter what.
You are with the majority?
Yeah.
Yeah?
But no, I mean, okay, so but what's the situation?
Though she's required to ask for her father's consent, but still the marriage goes through.
Or is she,
However, she commits an act of sin. She's committing a sin. But the marriage is valid. Are you with me?
Yeah, but
The marriage is valid. Still valid. It's okay. But she did not do a good job. She breached the law.
this is if she depends on her father, right?
Yeah, if she depends, of course. If she doesn't depend, if she's financially independent, socially independent, she lives in her house, okay, she has a house, she has her own life, she doesn't have to ask her father's permission.
Even if she's never been married before.
Even if she's never been married. If she's independent,
Right.
socially and financially independent.
is there a monetary penalty?
For violating this, no, there is no penalty. But she committed a sin. She has committed a sin. Okay. We go to the second maxim. Second maxim says, and any question with this first one?
So the one I have saved, so if the example that you gave at the beginning where the groom, instead of saying Miriam, says,
By mistake.
yeah. says-
He meant Maryam. He was looking at Maryam.
Right.
But he made a verbal mistake. Some people sometimes they get confused with the names. They get confused with the names. So he knows he's marrying her and she's Maryam.
Right.
But that moment, he became like me when I call people with different names.
So do they have to go back?
Wa'adi was Waziri for several months and then he switched to Wa'adi.
So do they have to look at the written contract to validate? Like if somebody comes and says, "Hey, I have a doubt," he
No.
said Miriam. he
No,
didn't say-
even if they wrote the wrong name. But the intention was this person. The qasd, the intention was this person. Even if they write the name wrongly, still he married her. You don't have to repeat the marriage
I guess
process.
where I'm confused is if the norm is that it's invalid until proven otherwise. So
Mm.
my question is, how do you prove the intention?
No. See, because he says that I knew I am marrying Maryam, but I just said the name wrongly. I just said the name. So in this case, we go back to him, the person, we go back to him. Let's say a father who had 5 daughters, and they were all present, mashallah, in the wedding. And the groom came, or the sheikh, either he did the acceptance, or the sheikh, rather than mentioning Maryam's name, he mentioned Fatima's name. And Fatima was not, in the picture. The intention was to have the wedding for Maryam, but it was a mistake, verbal mistake. Then it follows the intention.
How about say, you mentioned, like, let's say he's married to 2 people, and then he wants to divorce one. But by accident he says the other person's name.
Exactly.
So she's not divorced.
No, she's not
But
divorced.
what about the other one? She's not divorced.
She is divorced.
She's divorced?
Yeah, because we follow the intention.
Okay. But,
Yeah.
But because it's not the wrong
Yeah.
name, okay.
Yeah, he came, there are a group of witnesses. He wanted to say, Zawjati Maryam taliqun. He was confused because he loves Fatima, so always Fatima's name comes to his mind, so he said Zawjati Fatima. But then he went home, oh my God, I should have said Maryam. It's
But-
okay.
But given that he didn't say Maryam, that doesn't make sense. I know he should clarify it before it's official.
In his mind. He said it in his mind, here, in his mind. Yes, he did not say it verbally.
Right.
Now, some say, as a ihtiyat, a precaution, he should repeat the divorce. Because the witnesses have to hear the name. Because he knows in his mind it's Maryam, but the witnesses, they don't know. They just heard the name Fatima.
Because she can say there was no witnesses for it, right?
Yeah. She could, in the future,
Yeah,
she could say, you know, I was not divorced.
right.
Okay? So as a precaution, he would repeat. But it is valid because it is, you know,
Right.
follows his intention. Okay? Now, if you rent a car rental is what? Contract? Contract. Or an apartment. And you see the picture, you see the rooms, you see everything, and then at the time of signature, they change the car, they change the house, they change the apartment. It is changed. Is that contract, rental contract, valid or invalid? Hmm?
Well, it depends sometimes on the car. they don't
Or a
like-
purchase. A purchase. You purchase online from Amazon. And then when it comes, the shipment comes, something else. The color is different, the size is different, whatever is different. The make is different, the model is different. It always follows the intention. It would not go through unless what was in your mind, here in your mind. So you may accept and you may object. If you object, you tell them, no, the picture I saw is different. The different. Or in case of marriage, they show you her picture and then this is old days. Now, of course, alhamdulillah, they see each other. But in the old days, they would send a picture and on the night of wedding, he sees someone else. Similar to men, most likely. So this is also, this does not go through because it has to follow the intention. The second maxim على اليد ما أخذت حتى تؤدي. على اليد ما أخذت حتى تؤدي. What does it mean? What does على اليد means? Tell me, help me with the translation. You need to enhance your Arabic. Upon the hand. Upon the hand means upon the person. Hand means a person.
Whatever you take, height,
Upon the individual ما أخذت
or what you take, whatever you take.
to return or تؤدي تؤدي what it took. What it took. And this, the yet here, or the individual means the offensive one. The offensive one. So if someone took something from a person without consent, without knowledge, without approval, that act is called what? What do we call that act? Usurpation. Usurpation or appropriation or seizure which means what in Arabic? What does it mean? What is the Arabic term for it? غصب, غصب. غصب. Okay? So if it takes without permission, then that hand is considered what? It's considered offensive. عادية. Offensive. An offensive hand, an offensive person, an offensive act. And then immediately it becomes what? It becomes what? Huh? Liable to return it. Liable to return it. It becomes automatically, once anyone takes anyone else's property without permission, immediately he becomes liable to return it safe and sound. Now, if you remember last time, we said only in one case you can take someone's property without being liable. What case was that?
Good intention to help someone.
Exactly. You took his car to take it to the mechanic, to make it better, to add more value to it. An act of ihsan. An act of ihsan.
Would another exception be if you're like stealing to feed your family and you don't have
No,
a choice
no.
or no?
No, that is, in that case, there is no punishment. There is no punishment. But still, the act is called theft. It's called theft. It's not called ihsan. Yeah.
And you're liable to return it?
The act of theft, not you, because you don't have the government. The government has to give, compensation. One day, Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam was walking in the market of Medina. He saw a man going to the bakery, stealing bread without paying money. And he followed him. Do you know the story? He followed him. And he saw the man going to the poor people and feeding them. He said to him, "What are you doing?" I said, "You don't see what I'm doing? This is in the Quran. How come you are an imam and you don't know what is in the Quran? I'm giving, Allah says, من جاء بالحسنة فله عشر أمثالها ومن جاء بالسيئة فلا يجزى إلا مثلها. If someone does an act of goodness, he gets 10 points. If someone does an act of, offensive act, then he gets one punishment. So I am doing here, I'm gaining 9 points because Imam al-Sadiq said, "No, I read the Quran." Apparently you don't read the Quran where it says, إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. God only accepts the act of charity and goodness from the righteous, not from the thieves. This is not good what you are doing. You steal to give? No, this is not good. In case a father steals, there is no punishment on him. But still we call it act of theft. Maybe they don't punish him because it was out of starvation and need. But still it's called act of theft. Okay? So only in one case, the car is taken, the computer is taken to be repaired, to be enhanced, to be developed, and then it was lost or damaged or whatever happened to it. Now, we said a few days ago, قاعدة الإتلاف. Do you remember itlaf? Damaging? We just read it 2 weeks ago. When you take something from someone and you damage it, then you are liable. Liable. What is the difference between that maxim and this one? Aren't they the same? So why we are repeating?
This is if you damage, this is if you just take.
Exactly. Ahsant. Ahsant. Ahsant, doctor. You are very sharp. That one was when you damage, you are liable. You took it without permission, you damaged it. This one, once you take it, you are liable. Not just when you damage it, even if you don't damage it. So what is the benefit of studying this? What difference it makes in the mu'amalat? What difference it makes?
Whether you have damage or don't have damage, it depends on the situation.
The first one says, if you damage it, you either bring something like it,
What the remedy is different.
or you give me the price. In this one, the fruit of this, where does it show? It shows that if you took the keys of my apartment and I rent my apartment, let's say on hourly basis. I rent my car on hourly basis. I rent my camera. I work with it. Let's say I work with this camera. Okay, I'm a cameraman. I'm a photographer. I use it for weddings, for events. And you took it away from me 2 days, 1 day, 1 hour. Though you brought it back safe and sound, but should you pay or you shouldn't pay? Still you should, huh? Just, Dr. Ali,
Yeah.
just saying I'm sorry I took your camera without your permission is not enough. Yes, you are sorry, but give me money, compensation, because I use this. I have the right to ask you for what? For compensation. Because you took it without permission. Whereas the first one speaks about the damage, only about the damage, if he damaged it. This one is more extensive. The moment he takes it away from you, he's liable for the usage of it, even if he brings it back safe.
So can you get a double when you
Yeah.
say it, meaning if you took it and you damaged it,
Yeah,
and let's say you took the...
absolutely.
Now
Yeah.
you pay for the camera
Yeah.
and you pay for
Yeah,
the
yeah. You pay for the price, and for 2, 3, 4, 1 month
Yeah.
that you took it away from me. Or you
They
took
can
my
use-
car, I use my car, I'm an Uber driver, let's say. And you took my car, you took my livelihood away from me. So you give me the money for the car and these few days that I missed my car.
What if it's not something that you use, for example? Not something that you need to make money?
Still, you can ask. Let's say he took a portrait from your house. He took it, okay? And you come, you look at this portrait, you get happy. So, yeah, emotional damage. Or you reduce the beauty of his office or his house. He can claim that. You made my office look less attractive by taking this portrait. He can ask. Or a piece of furniture or whatever. Even though I'm not using it to make money, but I'm using it to enhance my decoration of my house or my office. And this is exactly the word of the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the first madrak for this is the narration of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the first. The second madrak, what is the second madrak, Atiyah? I have to ask you. So the first proof for this maxim is the hadith, and the hadith is exactly this. على اليد ما أخذت حتى تؤدي. It's upon the hand of an individual to return what they have taken without permission. What is the second proof? The first proof, we have hadith. What is the second?
Would it be Quran against?
No, if it is Quran, we bring the Quran first. We put them in order. Tasalum, exactly. Tasalum is used in 99% of these maxims. 99% agreement or tasalum is used as an evidence. There is something else beside tasalum, the third evidence, something else. So hadith is the first, tasalum is second. What is the third? What do you think the third evidence is going to be?
It's your rational.
Or the opinion of the people.
Shuhra or
Shuhra, it goes with tasalum, but there is something else.
Majama.
has a practical side. Tasalum could be intellectual, theoretical, but this one is a practical. What do we call it?
History and tradition.
Something like that, but we call it as-sira. As-sira means history or tradition. The history and tradition. Yeah.
History and tradition of what?
Of people during the time of the Prophet, during the time of the Imams. This is their history.
Does it go back to Urf?
Hmm?
Does it go back to Urf?
Yeah, it goes back to Urf. One more thing. Let's say he usurped, he did ghasb to a farm. He shut it, he did not allow the owner to go in. Let's say he shut the road, the main road, and the owner does not have access to it, can't fly. And this farm has fruits, vegetables, he sells them in the market. And for 1 month, 2 months, he blocked the entrance. And the food, the vegetation, it went bad. It was destroyed. So, should he pay? Huh? Should he pay? You all agree? Should he pay the compensation? Because he was the cause. He did not allow the farmer to sell his produce.
Depends what it was for, but if he illegally did it, but if he's
Yeah, he did it legally, yeah. He didn't allow him, he blocked his way. He did it illegal. He blocked his way, he did not allow him to sell his produce in the market. So he should pay. Now, if that night, that moment where he blocked the road, there was a snowstorm or freeze. You know how it happens here in California sometimes? They announce that the citrus in this area, that area was damaged because of the freeze. Okay? It happens in Fresno, you know, these areas. And it coincided with this blockade, with this act of usurpation. So he came, he did not allow the owner, and in the same moment there was natural disaster. So who pays who? God pays 50% and this guy pays the other 50%, or farmers insurance they pay, or what is it?
He's still liable.
We had the intention of doing it even if there wasn't a storm.
Yeah, he had the intention, of course. He had full intention. He didn't have full intention to damage the produce, but as a result of him blocking the entrance, farmers could not go there. The workers could not go there to take it at a timely manner. So it was left, and as a result of that, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days later, it was destroyed.
Right.
So who pays? Who is responsible for this damage? Who pays for this damage?
The offender.
Yeah,
The offender.
because that buy that we studied 2 weeks ago applies.
Mm. But unfortunately, the scholars, they say otherwise.
Nobody else said.
They say, وَأَمَّا إِذَا كَانَ التَّفْوِيتُ. But if the loss was due to مُسْتَنِدًا إِلَىٰ آفَةٍ سَمَاوِيَّةٍ, a natural disaster, but coincided same time. When we calculated, we saw, subhanallah, the freeze started immediately. Let's say same hour. فَلَا يُوجِبُ الضَّمَانَ عَلَيْهِ. Then the confiscator or the offender does not have liability. It's not upon him. Though he caused the blockade, but the damage, it was not him. The damage came from the sky.
How is that different than someone takes your iPhone, he He doesn't have an intention to damage your iPhone, but he slips and falls, and now
No, slips and falls because he took it. He also has a role. When people slip, they have a role, by the way. Because some people, they never slip. And some people, they slip 20 times a day. I know them, believe me. They don't see. Some people, they walk, they are careful, nothing happens. 120 years he lives, not even a single accident. But someone, he does, left and right. I've seen some people, they are not focused. So the individual could have some role. But in this example, the freeze came immediately. The freeze destroyed, or the fire destroyed the produce, not him. Is he completely liable free? Or he has some sort of liability?
that's because he
He has
usurped.
liability. He has liability.
What?
He took responsibility.
He has no liability for the vanishing or the loss of the produce. But he has liability for his offense. He has to pay for his offense. Not as a price, not as a compensation for the produce. The produce was destroyed through natural disaster. But we take money from him, we hold him responsible for the mere act of blocking the road, even for one minute. He shouldn't have done that. Even for 1 minute. Even if the owner is absent. We can ask him for compensation. For the mere act of the offense. Because this is an offense. You should not do this. And nobody can get away with an act of an offense, even if that act does not lead into a damage or loss. Even if it doesn't. Even if it doesn't, then you must not. He's liable, but not liable for the price or the value of the produce.
Say, but what about, like these days, for instance, okay, you can know a snowstorm is coming. So if the person takes that into account and wants to hurt somebody that way through the snowstorm and calculates it,
Yeah.
shouldn't he be?
Yeah, but we just said this.
Yes,
We said that he is,
for the act.
yeah, he's still liable. He can't go free. We don't leave him.
Right.
But he's not responsible because, see, the produce, the man, let's say he did that in the evening, and the man, he begins his work at 5 a.m. in the morning. But this man, he blocked the entrance at 10 p.m. From 10 p.m. until 5 p.m., there are no activities. No activities.
Right, but if he knew that they could have went, let's say, saved a little bit of the fruit in that time period.
If we can prove that,
Right.
that he has a role, definitely he has to pay.
Oh,
But this is a scenario where he has no role at all. The blockade has no role at all in the damaging of the produce. No role. So he's not responsible, but he has to pay some penalty for tajarri. It's like someone carrying a pistol.
right.
And he wants to shoot someone, but the pistol is like Hollywood movie, it's empty. We just set him free, we tell him go home, ya alhamdulillah, nothing happened, enjoy your wife tonight. No, we put him in jail. We put him in jail. Maybe we sentence him to 10 years, but not life sentence, but maybe 20 years. Because his intention was what? Was to kill. But God did not want him, So still he's liable, still. Even though the crime was not, the murder was not committed, but there was an act of aggression, an act of a crime. So he has to pay for that. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.